Men just want to find someone who can cook. A woman who can take care of their parents and has a balanced sex life. I just happen to fit their ideal. Men love me and give me money, and I accept it. Am I wrong for that? Such a fat, greasy old green tea woman. And she can meet all your needs in a partner. This film, released in 2023, shocked countless people and shattered their worldviews. Moreover, this film is based on true events. The protagonist is based on a real person, Yoshimura Cameo from Japan. Reality is even more outrageous than the movie. She dated 30 wealthy men in a year and made over $100 million a year. Even after this case occurred, her lawyer ended up getting involved with her. Even if she ended up in prison, she still got married 3 times while inside. If it were you, would you be scared if you could free your body? Sex can also be a form of stress relief for women. If you choose to sell your body like this, that's your business. It's not. That's not selling out. It's about mutual understanding between people. Isn't that how it is? Everything about this woman starts with an old man's report from January about dating her. That day, a woman came to report to the police. She said that this overweight woman, Ishulin, had scammed her out of a large sum of money. She demanded prosecutorly to file a case and to arrest Ishulin. But just as the police were about to do so, the woman suddenly changed her mind and wanted to withdraw. The testimony was completely different from before. She claimed that she willingly gave her that money. It was all just a misunderstanding. If a prosecutor could find it suspicious. The next day, the old man was found dead in the outskirts. At the time, there was a basin of charcoal in his car. Preliminary judgment indicated carbon monoxide poisoning, and the old man's family quickly named the culprit. It was indeed Ishulin, whom the old man had reported to be arrested. On the first day he met her, he immediately asked her for $200,000, and this was not the first time Ishulin had been accused. Just not long ago, 2 men had also successively, after sending Ishulin $1 million, they were found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning, and those charcoals were all bought by Ishulin. The cases were interconnected. Soon, Ishulin was thrust into the spotlight. Liam, who worked in the news department, saw this. Her expression changed immediately, not for any other reason, but because of this Ishulin. She was dating her father. Liam intended to rush back to remind her father, but she never dreamed that. The one who would open the door was Ishulin. Liam really couldn't understand. After being down for over 20 years, her father had never considered remarrying. Yet suddenly, he was completely smitten by this woman. He insisted on marrying her no matter what. He didn't even consult his daughter, Limai. He just moved in with her, to make Ishulin reveal her true colors. Limai tried her best to hold back her anger. She began to set a trap to lure her in. Missy, I've seen your news today. As a journalist, you should know very well. The media loves to judge before the trial. I didn't kill anyone. As Limai expected, Ishulin was still as she was when they first met. Sharp-tongued. She was flawless in her arguments. At that time, Limai told her father that she was also about to get married. So she hoped her father would think carefully, not to have a wedding on the same day as hers. But Ishulin interrupted from the side. Understanding between people isn't something that can be measured by time. I just like him. Liam, I didn't have time to retort. Once again, Ishulin quickly charms her father. Oh dear, just look at you. You've got food all over your mouth. Just like a little kid. I have to say, Ishulin's ability to act cute even makes Liam feel inferior. No wonder her father is smitten. But Liam will never let Ishulin get away with this, even if you say you haven't killed anyone. You've definitely scammed men out of their money. I've asked around about your background. You don't have a stable job. If it weren't for scamming men, how could you afford such a good life? Living in such a nice house. I thought this would deal a fatal blow to Ishulin. But to my surprise, she calmly stated that she may not have talent, but she knows how to make money for men. She just works hard to package herself, so that men fall hopelessly in love with her. Then she spends their money without guilt. I earn my own living. I've worked my way to where I am today. What's wrong with that? Liam was taken aback by her words. Her overly sweet remarks shocked everyone. But what really left her stunned was that there was much more to come. This is our wedding ring. It cost over $10,000. Your dad said, not to be too extravagant. I actually paid for it first. We're officially registered. Sorry about that. Your dad hasn't told you yet? Seeing her smug, green tea persona, Liam felt like tearing her apart right then. However, before Liam could act, the police suddenly showed up. They took Ishulin away with an arrest warrant. Even in the face of such a situation, Ishulin remained unfazed. I didn't kill anyone. The justice system will prove my innocence. Such a weak defense would make anyone laugh. Yet, Li Mei's father believed her completely. To help his daughter Li Mei, he sought legal assistance and declared Ishulin's name. The father even took the initiative to reveal to his daughter an unexpected piece of information. Actually, the person who died in the car was a friend that Dad also knew. What? Ishulin wanted to marry me. I broke up with him. Uncle Lee couldn't think straight for a moment. That's when he... The more Liam listened, the more absurd it seemed. Is Ishulin some kind of seductress? Men are even willing to die just to win her over. But to expose Ishulin's true nature, she still needed to find solid evidence. She asked her father for the password to Ishulin's house. Before going there, Li Mei had a rough idea in her mind, given how much money Shulin had scammed. Her home was probably excessively luxurious, but when she saw it with her own eyes, she was still shocked. Everything in sight was high-end brand. The value of this room was beyond what the eye could measure. Li Mei didn't forget to take photos to keep. Just then, Shulin returned. Due to insufficient evidence, only a bail of $3.5 million needs to be posted. Yulan can be released. But how is this huge sum paid? There was yet another lover of Yulan who paid for her. At this moment, after discovering that Li Mei had invaded her territory, Yulan was not angry at all. Instead, she took the initiative to teach the secrets of how to toy with men. With different men, you see, you need different approaches. Some men, you know, when you first meet them, I just sleep with him. After that, he can't live without me. Li Mei scoffed at this, but little did she know what she was about to be, deeply poisoned by these words. That day, her boyfriend, who was well-versed in wedding plans, rushed to be affectionate with Li Mei. But since Li Mei did not accept premarital sex, photos of his infidelity were caught by Li Mei. Naturally, Li Mei could not accept this. In her sadness, she blamed it all on his Yulan. If it weren't for women like her, there are too many women who can be easily won over by men. How could a woman like Li Mei, who is both conservative and genuine? Thinking this way, Li Mei's resentment towards Shulin grew deeper. She took the initiative to approach Prosecutor Lee, who was in charge of Shulin's case. She wanted to gather more evidence from Prosecutor Lee also suspected that Shulin was involved in something shady. The two of them decided to join forces. Our goal is to do justice for the deceased. With Li Jian's help, Li Mei interviewed the families of men who had dated Shulin. But to Li Mei's surprise, the families not only did not dislike Shulin, but actually found her to be understanding. She was gentle and virtuous. Not only could she cook delicious meals, but she was also humble and polite. She was willing to give her heart to everyone. When spending time with Shulin, the emotional value was simply off the charts. Li Mei's family, she sought out those men again, but the responses she received were still overwhelmingly positive. Even Shulin's requests for money, in their eyes, were just part of the emotional give and take. They believed that spending money on Shulin was worth it. Reflecting on that time when she faced Shulin herself, Li Mei's values were increasingly shattered. To win a man's heart, you need to treat the problem directly. If you can free your body. For women, sex is also a form of stress relief. If you choose to sell your body like this, that's your own business. No, that's not selling out. It's about mutual understanding between people. Isn't that how it is? For the Jiang Shulin group. At that time, watching the interview clips of the victims' families, Li Mei got carried away. She maliciously edited the upcoming interview video, exaggerating the negative impression of Shulin. The first time we met, she asked me for money right away. My son has been sending money to Shuxiu. With this turn of events, the news quickly escalated to a peak, not only leading to Shulin's detention, but also involving Li Mei, the news director. This twofold outcome left Li Mei speechless, but she was ultimately too happy to soon. On the day of the hearing, even though she was pushed to the brink, Shulin remained remarkably calm, answering without a hitch, because she had been rejected after proposing. If you can't handle it, just end it all. But why did it have to be ruined just like that? Her entire life savings ended up in your account. Because I played my part well. Men just want to find someone who can cook. Someone who can take care of their parents. A woman who is compatible in bed. I just happened to fit their ideal. Men love me and give me money. I accepted it. Am I wrong? Besides, I've taken all the money. Why would I want to kill anyone? As soon as those words were spoken, everyone was left speechless. Even though Shulin's words were heartless, there was indeed no flaw to be found. The empty-hearted Li Mei decided to have a good talk with Prosecutor Lee, firmly believing in bringing down the villain. Shulin had brainwashed all these men. They can't live without her. You've seen it with your own father. Isn't that right? But Li Mei herself didn't even notice. She was gradually brainwashed by Shulin's rhetoric. That night, to get back at her ex-boyfriend, she put on some lace lingerie. She invited Prosecutor Lee over for drinks. The two were like kindling and fire. It ignites with just a spark. Later, while waiting for the case to develop further, Li Mei's father suddenly found evidence that could exonerate Shulin. It was from the afternoon the victim was killed. There was a receipt proving that Shulin was shopping at the supermarket. Her father urged Li Mei to investigate one last time. Shulin must be innocent. Li Mei had no choice but to show the receipt to Prosecutor Li Jian. However, Li Jian claimed the receipt was forged. He checked the surveillance footage. Shulin was not seen at the store. Turns out, she's a fraud. At that moment, Li Mei's prison officer announced that he was about to marry Shulin. Seeing this tweet, Li Mei felt a wave of panic. And what Li Jian said next sent chills down Li Mei's spine. After they registered their marriage, she helped your dad secure a loan. The beneficiary will be herself. This woman, her motives aren't just about money. After toying with men, she wants to destroy your prey. If we want to save your dad, we need to put him behind bars. The next day, Li Mei followed Li Jian's advice, using her platform in the news broadcast to accuse Shulin of attempting to kill her father for money. Public opinion continues to ferment. This ultimately led to Shulin being sentenced to death. After Fuxin, he had a heated argument with Li Mei, because Shulin never asked her for a single cent. That insurance was something she bought on her own. Shulin is not that kind of person. He never asked me for a single penny. That's why I helped you buy insurance. Can't you see how ruthless he can be? Are you being foolish? We're already at this point in the conversation. Still stubborn while serving time. He took the initiative to discuss strategies with his Shulin, but his Shulin couldn't bear it. Her loved one is struggling and compromising for himself. Let's just call it quits. You should go back to your precious daughter. This is better for all of us. Shulin. Shulin, do you not trust me anymore? The one I love is clearly in trouble. Yet the father is powerless. He can only watch helplessly as he jumps into the fire, and the culprit is none other than his daughter. In an instant, the father's fears and worries are mixed. One who can't see clearly even drags the elderly at home. That night, he committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. She happened to see her father and grandmother, the already stiff body, and the letter that revealed resentment. I don't know when my daughter became a monster, twisting the world, leading to this outcome. I still have to say, Zhulan really didn't kill anyone. If my death can bring a breakthrough in the case, then it would be worth it. The Liamiai family faced misfortune overnight. This incident caused a stir in society. Liamiai could only take a leave of absence without pay, temporarily stepping out of the public eye for a while. But during her recovery, an unexpected event occurred. A criminal investigation leader urged her to return to work, and also released a news investigation into corruption that she could follow. Liamiai was shocked after seeing it. Surprisingly, one of the people involved in this corruption case was prosecutor Li Jian. Temporarily staying with Li Jian, waiting until she was home alone, they began to search for clues. From this, she discovered even more shocking news. It turned out that he's Yulan was actually shopping elsewhere on the day of the receipt is real. All along, Li Jian has been deliberately misleading herself. Liamiai immediately went to confront his Shulin. She also began to doubt his Shulin's innocence. But she wanted to know, why was there charcoal in the victim's home? For cooking. Cooking with charcoal. You should come to my house. In the kitchen drawer, there's a business card. The location on the business card is none other than, it's a training institution specializing in charcoal cooking. After verification, Liamiai confirmed that his Shulin had studied cooking there and graduated successfully. Remembering how her father had often praised his Shulin's cooking skills, Liamiai only realized this later. It seemed that charcoal really wasn't a murder weapon. So the question arises, since this evidence is so clear and easy to find, then why didn't the professional Li Yan notice it? It wasn't until much later, when she found a recording at Li Ji's house, that Liamiai finally learned the truth. It turned out there were some scandals at the top that needed to be covered up, so Li Jiangxia kept urging Liamiai to blow up his Shulin's case more and more, to cover up the scandals at the top. After all, this case of illegal insider trading, I will definitely find a way to force you to handle it. But before that, we need to create a smokescreen. The case of Senior Shulin has reached its peak. Otherwise, you could have your streamer girlfriend use the identity from the victim's days. Try to create this ethereal goddess. Go talk to his dad and convince him. Get him to admit it first. Here's his Shulin's current boyfriend. It turns out Sister Li never really cared for Liamiai. She never showed genuine feelings. Everything was a premeditated scheme. The more Liamiai listened, the more she broke down. But after the breakdown, she calmed down again. Using the 600,000 her ex-boyfriend gave her, she enrolled in the cooking class where his Shulin was. She began to study diligently. Then she cooked dish after dish for Sister Li. She became skilled at cooking. She became filial to her parents. Her sex life became harmonious. Gradually, Liamiai became the ideal for Li Jian. She even became the ideal type for every man. This made Li Jian go from casual flings at first to genuinely falling for her step by step. She even forgave her ex-boyfriend after he cheated. The white-collar worker was with her ex-boyfriend. At night, she shared a bed with Li Jian. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Jian's career hasn't been smooth sailing either. At that time, the Shulin case caused quite a stir. After covering up the high-level scandal, she became a pawn that was used up and discarded. But they also kicked her out early. Sister Li was emotionally devastated. In her madness, she threw that ball and sought advice from Laimai. Laimai didn't refuse. She didn't agree either. She just quietly helped her by preparing a lavish meal. But just as Sister Li's emotions were slowly being calmed down, Laimai suddenly brought up breaking up. I want to break up with you. What are you talking about? Before I met you, I already had a fiancé. We even took wedding photos. I want to go back to my old life. You have a fiancé? Why didn't you tell me? Are you a child? You have no reason to be together anymore. You are of no use to me. I have no feelings for you at all. Why do you have to do this now? Why treat me like this? Because I don't need you anymore. I don't love you anymore. Laimai resolutely pulled away. She dealt Sister Li the final blow. Laimai had waited too long for this moment. The ending was just as she had imagined. That night, Sister Li committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. Afterward, Laimai was summoned by the police. Laimai would have definitely been panicking, but now under his Shulin's influence, she was calm. She had already transformed into a master of duality. She previously handled the case of the executive Yuan. The pressure from her relative's case was immense. She became quite terrifying. Her emotions were very unstable. I was really scared back then. So I broke up with her. If I had just been more patient back then, if I had said more, it wouldn't have ended up like this. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. All right, don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's it. Lima easily cleared her name. At this point, she had also become a femme fatale. To refocus her target, she returned to her ex-boyfriend's side. She became the second Lima under Hishulin, and she successfully made her ex-boyfriend fall in love with her again, because I couldn't pull myself out of it. But what truly made I leave the hospital for good? The last visit before Hishulin was executed. Because she discovered that the beneficiary of the insurance policy had been changed to her by Hishulin. Why did you change the beneficiary of my dad's insurance to me? Because the person I loved the most was you. I just wanted you to know. My feelings for your dad are genuine. But he also died because of you. Is that so? Was it really because of me? If it really was because of me, then I have been punished too. Isn't that right? Originally, maybe I wanted Hishulin to admit that. She was the one who caused her father's death. But Hishulin was on a completely different level than her. After saying all that, it instead made Liemi I feel guilty, thinking she was the one who caused her father's death. With this layer of context, Hishulin's situation finally turned unfavorable. She believed that Liemi I, out of guilt, would definitely try every possible way to get herself out of this. Sure enough, Liemi I, in the latest news broadcast, and overturned all the previous false evidence. Why Hishulin fought so hard for justice? And Hishulin successfully avoided the death penalty and was instead sentenced to life imprisonment. She not only navigated her way through interactions with men with ease, but also personally cultivated an excellent successor for herself. On the first day Sister Limai stepped off the anchor platform, she encountered a mix of intrigue and chaos. This world truly lacks justice. Oh, this world. There's simply no justice. The film The Evil Woman was released in 2023. As I mentioned at the beginning, this evil woman is not fictional. This is one of Japan's top 10 modern mysteries, a series of mysterious deaths in the capital region, with as many as 16 victims, of which 6 were murdered. The real-life inspiration for the evil woman, Murokan Miao, is also known as the Heisei Poison Woman. In fact, if you only look at Hishulin in the movie, although her figure isn't very slim, with minimal makeup. But the real-life prototype is not glamorized. The real Murokan Miao is short and overweight. I'm not trying to belittle her. Instead, everyone who has seen this case would judge it this way. At the same time, the crimes he is accused of are even more vicious than those in movies. He lured victims of the opposite sex through a goods auction website. Those who are luckier only get scammed for their money. Unlucky ones are not only scammed, but also murdered afterward. They only appear to have committed suicide or died in an accident. They trick the victims into renting luxury apartments, driving a Mercedes, pretending to be a wealthy socialite, using these disguises to scout for their next target. But from a realistic perspective, the standards of wealthy middle-aged men wouldn't be that low, right? Looking at Mudaji Miao, what exactly does he use to charm men? In fact, before meeting him in person, men can only learn about him online. On one hand, he has created a perfect false image. He runs a company, wealthy, elegant, then casually showcasing body parts, and specifically explaining that it's due to the angle of the shot, making his hands look like a radish, showing off his physique, and finding excuses to cover up shortcomings. But in reality, his hands are even thicker than a radish. But wouldn't the offline interface be exposed? That's okay. From interviews with the victims, we learned that the practitioners have honed their skills through hard work. They have mastered a specific technique to perfection. At the same time, he will suggest you can completely disregard using an umbrella. This also aligns perfectly with the desires of many prey. The film The Villainous only adapted some of the experiences of the practitioners. If it were to be fully restored, the director would probably be receiving messages about their family from the audience. There would be a flood of negative reviews. After all, who would the to be this outrageous? A glance reveals 10 shadows. With you, let's appreciate the classics together. To all the fans out there, don't forget to give a thumbs up. We'll see you next time.